All right, guys, we're back with another video, and you may notice my setup has changed. It's no longer whiteboard. Now we have, Toronto behind me here. Well, it's not actually the city of Toronto. It's North Toronto behind me because we're in my living room now instead of in the bedroom with the whiteboard. I'm gonna start filming out here a lot more just because there's better lights. There's just more light out here. I don't have a whiteboard out here, but we'll live with it. The topic of today's video is that I meditated every single day for 8 years and what that's done for me, okay? So I first started meditating because I saw a lot of random podcasts and a lot of just, people on YouTube that I saw that had, I guess, a more stoic life than I did at that time. And during that time, like I want to say like 8, 9, 10 years ago even, I don't even remember exactly how long it's been. It's probably been closer to 10. I had a lot of anxiety. I don't know where it was rooted from. It was just overwhelmed with everything. I just felt a lot of anxiety, and I still feel anxiety from time to time these days as well. But it's way less anxiety, and it just kind of comes and goes. Whereas in the past, before I started meditating, the anxiety would kind of just take over my soul for weeks, months, years in some cases, right? So now it's almost like I'm just a little bit more present with everything. So, that's one of the toughest things I think to do in life. And that's what people really don't fully understand about meditation, is that the whole, basically the goal, I guess let's call it, of meditation is to make yourself more present throughout your day. So I'll give you an example. So let's say like before meditation, if I was doing a certain something, it doesn't matter what the thing is, right? I would always have a lot of dialogue in my head, a lot, right? Where it's just like, it's kind of like me talking to myself or thinking to myself, thinking out loud, I guess, let's call it. And I would just think a lot, right? I would just think a lot, about things. Instead of kind of immersing into that present moment, I would always just be in my head, just thinking about things. And I don't want to say that, meditation completely gets rid of that, because it absolutely does not. You can't just shut off your mind. That's not how it works. Your mind is basically gonna talk and, do what it wants. But with meditation, what you learn is that separation between, your conscious being and that chatter in your mind. So you can kind of almost observe that chatter in your mind instead of getting so lost in that dialogue and that chatter going on in your head. When you meditate, you basically train your brain to observe those thoughts in your mind. So when you're meditating, that's one of the biggest misconceptions that people have, is that when you're meditating, you're not, like, people think you're not supposed to think about anything at all, like nothing is supposed to come to mind. And that's not true. So when you meditate, the things come to mind, like you're going to be thinking about things and they're going to be coming to mind. And you're basically just going to be breathing and observing whatever comes to mind. Whatever comes to mind is okay, right? There's no wrong meditation. That's the key in meditation, right? So I've read 4 meditation books strictly about meditation. And the only thing, literally the only thing that I've learned in those 4 books is that you don't judge your meditation as good or bad or anything. You just do it. So there's no day where you're like, oh, I didn't really kind of lock in. My mind was going, to too many places. Or, oh, that was that day that I really felt zoned in and my mind wasn't thinking about everything. And I was just on my breath and my mind was empty. And, there's no judging of the meditation. There's no good meditation. There's no bad meditation. There just is meditation. So you meditate, and while you're meditating, the only thing you have to be focused on is breathing, and then wherever your mind goes, let it drift off to wherever it wants to drift off. But just be aware of those thoughts, where your mind is going. Just observe them. Again, don't judge the thoughts. Don't get so immersed into the thoughts as if it's you thinking these thoughts, because the brain, like I said, ask your brain not to think about something and see what your brain does, okay? And then you'll realize that you are absolutely not in control of your brain, right? Your brain just kind of, they say it best in the book, The Untethered Soul. Your brain is basically like your roommates, all right? Just think about your brain and your thoughts, like the thoughts that you have, not your brain, I should say the thoughts that you have. Think about the thoughts that come up in your head as your roommate, as if it's somebody completely different, because you don't really have any influence. Like those thoughts just come up. Whether you like it or not, the thoughts are gonna come, right? And then from there, you're observing those thoughts. You're just watching them, observing them, you're aware of them, and you're noticing the separation between you and your thoughts. Because there is separation, because you're observing it, right? If you observe something, then that implies that there is separation there. So you're observing your thoughts without judging. You're just watching them float by, whatever it is, let it come, let it go, and you're breathing. That's it. That's all meditation is. So going back to what I've learned throughout this process of meditating every single day, anywhere between 5 and 15 minutes. It can be short and simple. If you want to meditate for 2 minutes, that's totally fine too, right? If you want to meditate for 30 minutes, go and do that. For me, that's been more difficult, and I also, have a very productive personality. So meditating for 30 minutes, I get it almost makes me more anxious than not meditating at all. Yeah, try it out if you think it's for you. You're like, oh, let me just lay down and meditate for 30 minutes. Why not? That's how I do it anyways. I lay down on my bed, I relax, I do it eyes open, sometimes eyes closed, doesn't really matter. And I just breathe. No distractions, besides for the thoughts floating around in my head. And the thing you'll find out after you meditate for such a long period of time, it happens slowly but surely. You start to get out of your head a little bit, and you start to become more present to the moment. Now, this is not like an overnight thing, like where you're gonna meditate and it's gonna happen. And sometimes you will feel that after a meditation, you just feel a lot more light. You just feel, I don't know the word, maybe just a lot more connected to reality, right? And that's really what we're after, is to, immerse ourselves into reality and connect with reality as much as we can, instead of just going inside of our brain and starting to think. Because the more you think, the more you're going to overthink things, you'll overanalyze things. And the problem with that is, I don't want to say the problem with it. The challenge with that is if you're with people and you're just always in your head thinking about things, you're not present, you're not connecting, it's hard to socialize in that way. It's even hard to watch TV in that way. If you're watching TV and you're always thinking about something else, or your thoughts are always just going, it's hard to really stay in that moment and enjoy that moment for what it is. So that's exactly what meditation trains you to do. It basically trains your mind to think less and be more present. But like I said, there is no perfect to this, because you're never going to be able to just shut off your brain. It's not going to happen. You're never going to get to a place where you're always present. You'll never have thoughts that you don't want to have, or what. That's never going to happen, realistically speaking, right? But you can get better slowly but surely. And it just feels good to just set aside some time to just shut off all the distractions, shut off the TV, shut off your phone, get off the internet, and just kind of be with yourself and your thoughts. You know, it's like your designated time of the day where you get to kind of just it's almost like a state of like sleeping, but being awake. You know, if that makes any sense. It's kind of like sleeping, but being awake. You're just like in an awake, aware, relaxed state of mind, and just breathing. So I highly encourage you guys to make a daily meditation practice. I think it's not as popular as it should be, meditation. I think more people should get into it, whether it be 1 minute per day or 10 minutes per day or 30 minutes per day. That's up to you. But I think, not enough people talk about the benefits of meditation. I really do. I really think that not enough people do, because, the way it's helped me personally with anxiety and stuff like that. Like I said, it's a gradual process, but I can see it now. Like if I look back at myself now as compared to like 10 years ago, 8, 9, 10 years ago, it is, a drastic difference. And like I said, not to say I don't feel anxiety now, because I do sometimes. And sometimes, yeah, I'll feel it, quite a bit. But it's nowhere near the way I used to feel it, right? Because I've started meditating and relaxing into my body, and kind of having that mind-body connection where you're more connected and immersed with what's going on around you, instead of just always just going in your head and thinking about random stuff. So I hope this video helped you guys, even if it helps one person watching this to try meditation, meditate a little bit more, make a daily routine of it. It could even be 30 seconds. You could just lay down and be like, all right, I'm gonna do my 30-second meditation. You take like 2 or 3 breaths, and that's it. Now you just go about your day. You just take 2 or 3 breaths where you just literally stop, right? Because anxiety is rooted from like overwhelm and like trying to do too much, and like I always have to be doing something or whatever. That's where the anxiety kind of roots from and it comes from. But if you just stop, even if it's, like I said, 30 seconds or a minute or 10 minutes, just literally stop. And you can do it anywhere. You can do it sitting. You can do it while you're laying down. You can do it while you're in the shower. You can even do walking meditation. That's something I do, from time to time, where I kind of basically just like slow down my walk and just kind of breathe and slow down the walk, and I'm doing meditation that way, right? So you can do meditation any which way you want. Highly recommend you try it out. Subscribe if you're not subscribed, and leave a comment, and I'll see you guys in the next video.